பண்ண போகிறோம் அப்படின்னா ஒரு ஒரு சர்வர் இருக்கும், அதில் ஒரு கிளைண்ட் இன்ஸ்டால் பண்ணியிருப்போம். இந்த ரெண்டையும் கம்யூனிகேட் பண்ணி நம்ம வந்து ஒரு யூசரை க்ரியேட் பண்ணுவோம். இப்போ சர்வர் அப்படின்னா என்னென்னா, நம்ம ஒரு பேஸ் கம்ப்யூட்டர் அதை வச்சு இப்போ 4-5 சிஸ்டம் அந்த மாதிரி கனெக்ட் பண்ணியிருப்போம். இப்போ அது வந்து எப்படின்னா டொமைன் நேம் சிஸ்டம் சொல்லலாம். அதாவது ஒரு சர்வருக்கு வந்து ஒரு லோக்கல் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு ஒரு நேம் வந்து நம்ம .லோக்கல் அப்படிங்கிற டொமைன் நேம் செட் பண்ணிட்டோம் அப்படின்னா அதில் வந்து மற்ற எல்லா சிஸ்டத்தையும் ஆட் பண்ணிக்கலாம். இப்போ
டொமைன்னா என்னது? வாட் இஸ் மீன் பை டொமைன்?
சார் டொமைன் அப்படின்னா சார் அது ஒரு நேம் சார். இப்போ டொமைன் நேம் அப்படின்னா நம்ம அதுக்கு ஒரு நேம் வச்சிருப்போம்லங்க சார். இப்போ .லோக்கல் அந்த மாதிரி.
வேற யாராச்சும் சொல்ல முடியுமா? வேற யாராச்சும் சொல்ல முடியுமா?
சார் நெட் கனெக்ட் பண்ணும்போது அட்ரஸ் பார்ல கொடுப்போம் இல்லைங்க சார், அந்த google.com அந்த மாதிரிலாம் கொடுத்தோன்னா அதை நம்ம டொமைன் நேம் தான் சொல்லுவோம். அது
அருண் சொல்லுங்க. அருண், சார்லி.
டொமைன் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா டொமைன் கண்ட்ரோலர் குரூப் ஆஃப் டிவைஸ் கம்ப்யூட்டர் டிவைஸும் யூசரும் கனெக்ட் பண்ணி பாலிசி மூலியமா கண்ட்ரோல் பண்ற ஒரு கண்ட்ரோலர் சார்.
Umesh, what is mean by domain?
Means internet address to IP name conversion.
Sorry?
Internet address to name conversion.
Internet to name conversion.
Particular IP address having a site, it will convert into readable format name.
Particular?
Hello.
Yeah.
It's a administrative controls for users, computers, and services.
Like workstations, devices, printers,
Yes.
computers.
Yes.
For users.
Central agent management.
What is that exact word we are using? A domain is nothing but we are calling of networking reference, right?
Yes. Networking.
Okay. நீங்க கண்டினியூ பண்ணுங்க
சார். இப்போ வந்து அந்த நேம் நம்ம வந்து ஆட் பண்ணி வச்சிட்டோம் அப்படின்னா நம்ம ஒரு டொமைன் சிஸ்டமில் ஏதாவது மாடிஃபை பண்ணணும் அப்படின்னு எல்லா சிஸ்டத்துலேயும் போய் நம்மளால மாடிஃபை பண்ண முடியாது. ஸோ நம்ம அந்த சர்வர் டொமைன் சிஸ்டமில் பண்ணிட்டோம் அப்படின்னா மற்ற எல்லா சிஸ்டத்துலேயும் மாடிஃபை ஆயிரும் சார்.
சரி, ஓகேங்க. வேற
ஓகே. இப்போ விஎம் ஏன்னா ஃபர்ஸ்ட் நம்ம லேப்ல வந்து ஒரு ஓஎஸ் மட்டும்தான் நம்ம யூஸ் பண்ண முடியும். இன்னும் மல்டிபிள் ஓஎஸ் மூலிமா நம்ம ஒர்க் பண்ணுறதுக்கு நம்ம விஎம்வேர் மூலிமா நம்மளுக்கு யூஸ் ஆகும். இப்போ விண்டோஸ், மேக், லினக்ஸ் மூலிமா நம்ம அந்த ஓஎஸ் போட்டு யூஸ் பண்ணுறதுக்கு விஎம்வேர் நம்மளுக்கு யூஸாக இருக்கும். இப்போ எப்படின்னா விண்டோஸ் சர்வரில் வந்து லோக்கல் சர்வர் க்ரியேட் பண்ணி அந்த லோக்கல் சர்வர்லேயே நம்ம எப்படி யூஸரை க்ரியேட் பண்ணுறது நம்ம விஎம்வேர் மூலிமா நம்ம க்ரியேட் பண்ணணும். யூஸரை க்ரியேட் பண்ணதுக்கப்புறம் நம்ம நெட்வொர்க் கனெக்ட் பண்ணுறதுக்கு டிஎன்எஸ் மூலிமா ஐபி கான்ஃபிகரேஷன் இல்லாமல் நெட் கனெக்ட் பண்ணி நெட் கனெக்ட் பண்ணி நம்ம நெட் கனெக்ட் ஆனதுக்கு அப்புறம் நம்ம வந்து நம்ம கிளைண்ட் மிஷினுக்கு வந்து நம்ம கிளைண்ட் மிஷின்ல யூசர் எப்படி நம்ம கிரியேட் பண்றது, அந்த பாஸ்வேர்டு யூசர் நேம் பாஸ்வேர்ட் கிரியேட் பண்ணி இப்போ desicro.in.com அது மூலியமா நேமும் பாஸ்வேர்டு கொடுத்துட்டு அதுக்கப்புறம் அந்த நேம் ஷோ ஆகும். அந்த ஷோ ஆனதுக்கு அப்புறம் நம்ம கனெக்ட் ஆகும். அந்த கனெக்ட் ஆனத நெட்வொர்க்கை வந்து இப்போ டிஎன்எஸ் மூலியமா நம்ம நெட்வொர்க் அது கனெக்ட் ஆயிட்டாலே நம்ம கிளைண்ட் மிஷின்ல அதர் யூசர் ஷோ ஆகும். அப்படி ஷோ ஆனாலே நம்மளுக்கு வந்து அந்த மிஷின்ல வந்து இது கனெக்ட் ஆயிருக்கு, யூசர் வந்து நம்ம கனெக்ட் பண்ணிட்டோம் அப்படின்னு சொல்லி நம்ம தெரிஞ்சுக்கலாம். இது மெயின் பர்பஸ் என்னன்னா சர்வருக்கும் கிளைண்ட்டுக்கும் கம்யூனிகேட் பண்ணி டொமைனை நம்ம எப்படி கிரியேட் பண்றதுங்கிறது தான் இது மெயின் யூஸ்.
ஓகேங்க, சரி வேணாம்மா போதும் விட்டுருங்க. So today we are going to see topologies. So totally two topologies is there, physical topology and logical topology. So just I share with my screen. Is there any doubt? Please stop me and ask me. My screen visible, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So guys, in this section, we'll discuss about topology. We'll see what is topology first. So a topology is used to explain how the devices are physically connected in a network and the logical flow of information in the network. So in this example, we have Hyderabad LAN. In this Hyderabad LAN, we have 3 computers, 1 IP phone and 1 server is connected. And we have Bangalore LAN. In Bangalore LAN also we have 3 computers, 1 IP phone and 1 server is connected. And these 2 different LANs are connected with these 2 routers using WAN link. So this is the topology here, okay, which explains the physical connectivity of your devices. And there are 2 types of topologies. The first topology is the physical topology, and the second type of topology is logical topology. What is physical topology? Physical topology defines how the devices are connected physically, and logical topology defines the data flow from one computer to another computer. Okay, so this logical topology defines how the data flows from one computer to another computer. Physical topology describes the way in which devices are physically connected in the network, and there are different types of physical topologies like bus topology, ring topology, star topology. Okay, so these are the types of physical topologies. This bus topology. So in bus topology, the devices are connected to a single cable using T connector. So you will have one single cable and you will connect the devices. And it is called as bus topology and uses this T connector. This is the T connector and you will use this T connector here like this. If you see here, this is the T connector. Using this T connector, you have connected computer 1, then you have connected computer 2, then computer 3, computer 4 using this T connector. Okay, so what is the advantage of this bus topology? Required less cable. So using one cable, you are connecting all the devices, but it is having the single point of failure. This is a disadvantage. If one link goes down, okay, these computers won't be able to communicate the other computers. This is the disadvantage of bus topology. try to understand what is this ring topology. In a ring topology, each device is connected with two devices on either side. So if you see here, let us say it is PC1. So PC1 is connected with two devices on the either side. Let us say it is PC2 and it is PC3. And this PC2 again, it is connected with two devices. It is connected with PC1 and let us say it is PC5. Okay, so in a ring topology, each device is connected with two devices on either side of it, and the structure forms a ring. So it is forming a ring structure here, and that is why it is known as ring topology. And the entire network will be impacted if one workstation is shut down. Let us say if this computer is shut down or it is having some issues. So the entire network will be affected if we use the ring topology. With the star topology, the computers have independent connection back to the central device. So let us say this is the switch here, and all the devices are connected using this switch. Okay, so computers have independent connections back to a central device, for example, hub or switch, and a cable break only impact the device connected via. Okay, let us say cable is broken here. So it will impact this PC only. It will not impact the entire network. So this is the advantage of star topology, and nowadays we use star topology. A logical topology describes the way of data flow from one computer to another. So as we have discussed, it will describe how your data flows from one network to another, from one computer to another computer. In other words, it is a way in which devices communicate internally. So there are two different types of logical topologies in Windows environment. The first logical topology is workgroup model, and the second is domain model. This workgroup model is also called as peer-to-peer model, and domain model is also called as client-server model. We'll see the difference between these two different models of logical topology. First, guys, let us discuss what is this work group model. So as we have discussed, this work group model is also called as peer-to-peer model. So what is this work group model? What is this peer-to-peer model? Let us try to understand. So with this work group model, all the computers, whether it is a client or server computer, in the work group, they are called as peer. So we are using work group model, and we have some computers. Let us say computer 1, which is having Windows 7, computer 2, which is having Windows 10, and computer 3 is having Windows Server 2016, computer 4 is having Windows 8, computer 5 is having Windows Server 2012. So we have some computers with Windows Server operating system. We have some computers with client operating system. Okay, so we are using work group model. So even we have installed server operating system, they are not considered as servers here. They are called as peer. And the computers with client operating system also, they are called as peer. There is no client, there is no server in work group model. All the computers, they are called as peer, and the communication is peer-to-peer. So all the computers in the work group are called as peer. There is no client, there is no client server concept in work group model. All the computers are considered equal here. The computers in work group mainly has its own local database where user accounts are saved. So guys, In workgroup model, all the computers saves the username and password on the local database. Okay, let us say on computer one, user one is sitting. User one is using this computer one. So you will create let us say you have created user one account and the password is 123. You have created the user account for this user one. So this username, it will be saved in this local database of this computer. On next day, if this user one is using this computer 2, so he won't be able to log in because his username and password is created on computer 1 and it is stored locally. So again, you need to create the username and password for user 1 on computer 2. On third day, let us say user 1 is sitting on computer 4. Again, he can't log in to computer 4 because his username and passwords are created on computer 1 and computer 2. On computer 4, we need to create the username and password for user 1. Okay, so guys, we are taking the example of only one user here. Let us say you have hundreds of users and they are working in a call center. So in call centers, users can sit on any computer, okay, and they will log on to any computer and they will start working, which means if you have 100 users, you need to create 100 username and passwords on each computer. Okay, so you have 100 users, you will create to each and every computer. Let us say 100 users and 100 computers are there. So you will go to each and every computer and you will create 100 username and passwords. Okay, after some time, let us say 10 users have resigned the company. So again, you need to go to all the 100 computers and you need to remove these 10 users from all the computers. Then 10 new users have joined the organization. So again, you will have to go to all the 100 computers and you need to create 10 username and passwords for the new users. This is a problem with work group model. Okay. So if any user wants to access the other computer, he needs to create the account in that computer and data is saved on the local hard disk. So whatever the data you are saving, it is saved on the local hard disk. So this is the work group model. All the username and passwords are created on the local database. And if you want the other users to use the other computers, you need to create the username and password on other computers as well. Then guys, we have one more logical topology, which is called as domain model. And this domain model, it is also called as client server model. And we can have more than one servers. Okay, so just remember this terminology. Domain model, it is also called as client server model. So the system administrators use servers to control the client in the network. So system administrator, what they will do, they will use this server. So let us say we have one server and we have two clients here. So system administrator will control these two clients from this server. Okay, and it has centralized database, and the database, it is entity.dit, where the user accounts are saved. So this server, it is having the centralized database. Okay, we have user 1, user 2, user 3. So you don't need to create this username and password, these user accounts on the clients. What you will do, you will create the user accounts on the server. Okay, and let us say user 1 wants to use this computer 1. So what he will do, he will log in, he will enter his username and password, and the request will go to the server. Server is having the database. We have created the username and passwords on server. So server will check whether this user 1 is available in the database or not. it is available and password is also correct, then it will allow this user one to use this computer one. After some time, this user one wants to use computer two. Again, he will log in, he will enter his username and password to computer two. The request will go to server. Server will check the username, user one is available. Then this server will allow this user one to use this computer two as well. You don't need to create the username and passwords, multiple username and password on clients. You are going to create the username and password once, and it will be authenticated by server. So let us say, take the same example. We have 100 users and we have 100 computers. So with this domain model, with this client server model, you are going to create the 100 users, 100 accounts on this server only once. You don't need to create this 100 users on 100 computers. You are going to create it only once. Okay, user 1, user 2, and so on. After that, as we have discussed, all the users can access all the computers now, and it will be authenticated by server. So 10 users have resigned your company, so you will delete these 10 users on this server. Okay, you will delete it, and 10 more users or 10 more employees have joined the organizations. So you will create 10 username and password on this server. You don't need to go to the clients. You can manage it centrally. Okay, so system administrators use servers to control the clients in the network. It has centralized database where user accounts are saved, and NTDS means New Technology Directory Service. DIT stands for Directory Information Service. This is the database on the domain controller. And if any user wants to access other computer, he doesn't need to create the account again. We can save the data in centralized server. And guys, Kerberos is a network authentication protocol. It is designed to provide the strong authentication for client server application by using secret keys. So let us say user one wants to log into this computer. Okay, so he will enter the username and password. The request will go to the server. Server is authenticating. So who is taking this username from client to server and server to client? There is a protocol called Kerberos. So with the help of this Kerberos protocol, this authentication is done. And Kerberos is a network authentication protocol. It designed to provide the strong authentication for client server application. So it is used for the authentication, and it provides the security as well.
இது வரைக்கும் ஏதாவது புரிஞ்சுதா?
புரியுது சார்.
ஓகே, Kerberos எதுக்கு யூஸ் பண்ணுறோம்னு தெரியுதா? இந்த டாபிக் கொஞ்சம் கிளியராக பார்த்துக்கோங்க. நெக்ஸ்ட் வீக் நான் கொஸ்டின் கேட்பேன். ஹலோ.
ஓகே சார்.
ஓகே சார்.
So guys, we need to understand some terminologies. Okay, so the first terminology is domain. What is this domain? Domain is your logical network. Okay, so domain is a logical grouping of users, computers, and group objects to manage them centrally from the domain server. So domain, in simple words, it is your logical network. Okay, and domain should have the unique name. So when you are installing the domain, when you are installing this logical network, it should have the unique name, like ms.com is the name of your domain here in this case, and domain name is assigned by the DNS service. So guys, we have one service which is called as DNS service, and who is providing the name to our logical network? DNS service. Okay, DNS service provides a logical name to our domain. We will see. Okay, we will do the lab, and you will see that we will provide the domain name and it is provided by the DNS service. And guys, we have one more term which is called as domain controller. We have seen domain. Domain means logical network. Domain controller means which controls your logical network. Okay, from the name, you can understand what it is saying. Domain controller means the server which controls the domain. So to configure the domain model, we must have at least one domain server. So we must at least have one server to configure the domain model. And this domain server is called as domain controller. Okay, so here in this example, you can see we have installed one server. Okay, and this server will control your logical network, and this server is called as domain controller. Okay, so this is the physical server. Domain controllers are physical servers. And to make domain controller, so how will you make this server as domain controller? Okay, so it is not that you have installed the Windows server operating system and it will start acting like a domain controller. We need to do some configuration. To make this server a domain controller, we need to install a special service called ADDS, Active Directory Domain Service. So when you install Active Directory Domain Service on any server, it will become domain controller. So what is this Active Directory Domain Service? It stores the information of users, computers, groups, services, resources, etc. So it will store the information of users, computers, and other things of your network. Okay, and ADDS domain controllers also authenticates users and computer accounts when they log in. So who is managing? Who is authenticating the users? Okay, when any user wants to log into any computer, let us say user 1 wants to log into this computer, the request will go to this server. So who is authenticating the request? It is authenticated by the Active Directory Domain Controller. Okay, using Kerberos protocol. Domain model is suitable for small to large organization.
அது புரிஞ்சுதா? டொமைன் கண்ட்ரோல், டொமைனுக்கும் டொமைன் கண்ட்ரோலருக்கும் டிஃப்ரென்ஸ்? ஹலோ, இருக்கீங்களா? சந்தியா, என்ன சந்தியா யாருமே பதில் சொல்ல மாட்டாங்க?
ஆக்சுவலா பலா புரிஞ்சிச்சு. இது ஆல்ரெடி நீங்க டிஸ்கஸ் பண்ணிருக்கீங்க. டைரக்டரி. ஹலோ பலா, கேக்குதுங்களா?
கேக்குது, சொல்லுங்க.
இது ஆல்ரெடி இந்த ஆக்டிவ் டைரக்டரி பத்தி நீங்க சொல்லிருக்கீங்க. எப்படின்னா அது இன்ஃபர்மேஷன் ஸ்டோர் பண்ணும் அந்த மாதிரி.
ஆக்டிவ் டைரக்டரி சொல்லியிருக்கேன். அதுல வந்து
அட்லீஸ்ட் ஒன் டொமைன் சர்வர் அது இருக்கணும் இந்த டொமைன் மாடல்ல. ஸோ இது ஓகே தான், புரியுது.
சரி, ஓகே
ஓகே.
நெக்ஸ்ட் வீக் நான் இதுல வந்து क्वेश्चन கேட்பேன். நான் ப்ரிப்பேர் பண்ணிக்கிறேன்.
ஓகே ஓகே பாலா.
சரிங்க சந்தியா, வேற ஏதாவது டவுட்ஸ் இருக்கா? வேற ஏதாவது டவுட்ஸ் இருந்தா கேளுங்க. உமேஷ், you have any doubts, please ask me.
No sir. No sir.
Okay, everyone. Okay, Sandhya, done. So we'll close that mission.